Welcome to this special preview teleseminar. I'm Ellen Rohr, and today's teleseminar is 60-minute secrets to running a profitable plumbing, drain, heating, cooling, carpentry, roofing, or cleaning business during a recession. Now, my friend Al Levy has been helping home contracting businesses nationwide solve problems, turn greater profits, and help owners get their lives back and get free time back. And he's been doing this for over 7 years. This is all based on Al's own 25-year career. Al, I didn't know you were that old.
I started as a child.
Running a highly successful family-owned business. And, boy, a family-owned business in Long Island, New York. I don't think it gets tougher than that. So, Al Levy, welcome to the call.
Well, thank you so much. Yep, I want to welcome everybody that's coming in here and assure them that the stuff we're going to be sharing today, I'm really excited about it because this is, with this new technology and the things that we've been doing, I'm able to bring some exciting stuff to more people than I've ever been able to do in the past. And I just can't wait to get rolling.
Well, that's what's so cool about the technology that we've got, this webinar, this teleseminar included, because you can see the slides, and we've got guest stars on the phone, and Al, we get to hear your expertise. And I think this is an amazing opportunity you're making available. So let's solve some problems today, shall we?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, very cool. So let's talk about what's going to be covered during the call today. And I think I want slide number 3.
You do?
I do. Oh, there you go. I'm like, is it me on my end? Oh, no, there it is. It appeared. Okay, because as you and I were talking prior to this call, these are the issues that keep coming up. You help a lot of people. They make a reach in your direction, and these are really the issues that you and I both hear time and time again. People can't find and keep good people working for them. There are not enough hours in the day. Before you know it, it's 5, 6, 7 at night, and you haven't done half of what you set out to do. You really can't maximize every opportunity. You have a list of goals and dreams and things that you mean to do in this lifetime, and it's just you're not capitalizing on those opportunities, too busy putting out fires. And you're spending more time as an employee, meaning you're not really wearing the hat of the business owner. And you're painfully aware that you don't have any real systems in place. I mean, as a business owner myself, I still relate to these challenges, and these seem to be the issues that keep coming up time and time again. So, Al, are you going to tackle some of these challenges during the 60-minute secrets to running a profitable contracting business?
Yeah, that is my goal here today, and unfortunately, like everything, we're limited in time, but this is going to be a power-packed hour, and of course, it's power plans. And I've got guys on here who have done this work, and I want to assure everybody who's listening that you are not my guinea pig. As Ellen mentioned earlier, as a child, I worked 25 years in a plumbing, heating, cooling business in the toughest market, which is New York and Long Island. And for the last 7 years, I've been out there working all around the country with plumbing, drain, heating, cooling, roofing, carpentry, companies doing the exact same things. So these are time-tested. And they are not just theory. These are real things that can make a difference in your life. And this is what you need today. One of the great things, if you hang in all the way to the end of this call, we'll be able to send you a free MP3 download. Because I know we're going to go through some of this stuff quickly, and you want to kind of go back and listen to it. And it's going to be an exciting offer that I'm now able to provide that I haven't been able to do so in the past. So I'm going to get started with the body of the call.
Okay.
Which is leadership power, because this is where it all starts. I like to think of leadership power as if you don't care where you're going, any road will do. But I live here in beautiful Phoenix, and if I wanted to drive off to New York, it'd be nice to have a road map. And leadership power begins by doing just that thing. And so here's my question. Do you ever wake up in the morning wondering if you got more time at the end of the day than you'll know what to do with?
I think that's one of the core issues that we've heard is there just aren't enough hours in the day, Al.
Yeah, and that was my dilemma as well. I did kind of chuckle when you said 5, 6, 7 o'clock because for me it used to be 11 o'clock at night. I was wondering how I was going to get the rest of what I had to get done. So here's my next thought here in terms of where you are. you need to learn how to prioritize projects and manage time. I mean, everybody talks about money concerns, and, that's true. But time is just something you cannot create more of. And it's time, energy, and money is what it always comes down to. So for myself, in prioritizing projects, I'll spend a quick moment talking about it. I remember years ago, I was lucky enough to run a big company, and I had people who were really dedicated, hardworking people who were incredibly engaged with things that they thought were absolutely critical to me and the company. One day I had the guts, Ellen, to ask them to come into the conference room and put all the projects on the table. And to tell you the truth, I was horrified about what they felt they should be spending their time and working on. So I created a method for getting it down to a master project list, a top 30 list, which you create every year, but most importantly, down to the top 5, one list of the things you must do if you really want to take control of your company and get your focus on getting things done. I don't know how many people you meet out there, but it's constantly the case that we just end up putting out the fire that we thought we put out yesterday, and we never really get around to solving and fixing these things. And this is where it all begins. Make sense, Elle?
It does, and what I like best about your approach, Al, is that you really are a meat and potatoes guy. There's nothing that you're going to present that insults my soul. It's all very straightforward, really simple, and incredibly powerful.
Thank you. I think the part that's really great, and I was blessed with a lot of great mentors and business coaches, which are the new taglines, but as I think of it, what you really need is to be plugged into a trail guide, somebody who's been up that trail before, more than just a box with forms and templates. That's good. That's helpful. But to be plugged into somebody who can really make it work for you. And that really leads me to my second point here, is about having employee training programs so that the people at work today can become successful. Their success affects your success. They are the company. But, we are disappointed in general as owners about what our employees do and don't do. And the reality is we've never really quite told them what it is we want to. And if we do what we want, what are we going to measure them about? How are we going to make that instead of just putting this great goal out there and not be able to get that? And for me, the other thing I think that's really important here is, which I believe we're all guilty of, is we've all delegated projects, and then what happens? The staff disappoints us. So we say, oh, you know what? I should have just done it myself. Mm-hmm. So then you teach your staff, well, why do it at all? And they're happy to let you take the projects back, Elle. Why not? But delegation.
I'm never going to do it right enough for you anyway.
Yeah, well, that's true. You've disappointed me, and you're going to do it one more time, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to bother taking all of the steps that it takes, which is, of course, where it begins by putting things in writing. Putting it in writing is the key step in delegation. You need to make it clear as to what it is you truly want. What do they have in their ability to make that a reality for you? To put real benchmark objective goals about what is and isn't. And then to set up a time frame. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say I wanted you, Ellen, to clean up your office within a month. Well, if I just disappeared for a month, came back a month later, what's the chances that I'm going to be ecstatic about the results?
I'm going to be hoping you forgot about me.
Probably so. And, your staff is doing the same thing. So one of the key things that we have to look at here is, well, what would be an objective measurement here? Is there a set of pictures that I could take that we could point to and go, this is what it needs to do. We get it cleaned up. And I would come back every week and say, you know what, every week I'm going to be checking to see what your progress is. So there are key steps in the delegation process. This is just a quick view of what that is. Item 4 is about growth planning and marketing. And I know growth today seems like, oh, well, that can't possibly be. But this is absolutely the very best time to be growing your company. When others
are you
shrinking,
sure? I mean, if I listen to the news right now, I've got doom and gloom and recession all over the place.
Well, I'm going to help you out. Shut off the TV and get busy with work.
Attaboy.
Because if you were going to buy housing, this is the cheapest time, not when the prices are out crazy. Every bit of marketing you do, now it has to be smart marketing, and we have more to discuss about that. But smart marketing and key ways that I know how to do it, which my clients are using right now, you can absolutely leapfrog your way through here. And part of the problem is it's okay to be small, and nobody has to say that you have to be a giant company. But you do need to get enough heft that you can have enough people on the outside turning the wrenches or doing the work to support the people on the inside if you ever want to get your dream to where it needs to go. And the key is to be planned or be planned for, and growth planning and marketing is what we're doing here. Item 5 is, we need some measurements. Remember I talked about the roadmap from Phoenix to New York? Well, some of that we'd like to have some mileposts along the way, or pretty soon I'm driving out to San Diego, which is a pretty place, but it's not where I want it to go. So key numbers for business and coaching, we have to have some metrics, which is the fancy word for numbers, for certain things to tell us either we are or we aren't, and what do we need to do to get ourselves back on track. These are the key items that I focus on when I talk about leadership. And now there's a lot more to it, and that's why I say in terms of the things that we want to make sure we talk about, these are the things that really add to the power that you come from when you are talking about leadership power. These are some of the things that take us out of this daily, running around with your head chopped off. And I don't preach. I'd like to share a story of how I became awakened, if you will, Elle.
Okay.
I was riding along in a truck on my busy day, and I was lucky enough to have a great industry leader, Dan Hollihan, in my truck, and my pager began to vibrate. This is a number of years ago, I will admit. I had one of those big box mobile phones sitting in my truck, and it was vibrating. Don't laugh, Elle. I was very proud that I had one of the early cell phones. And my two-way radio was paging me, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, aren't I important? Well, Dan looks at me and goes, you think that's normal. You know what, Elle? To that point, I really did think it was normal. It was a killing process. And to be involved and everything has to run through me, you can't possibly begin to empower people and to grow the company and have the life you desire and deserve. And it was that moment was one of the most defining moments for me to take control of my company.
That's a powerful story, and I'm prompted to add that Jim Collins in his book Good to Great says that the skill set that got you to the level of success that you are right now is not going to get you to the next level, but we're sometimes loath to let go of some of the things that we do that have got us this far. And really what you're talking about is making that next leap and really taking your company in the direction of your dreams and not just getting by.
Oh, I think that is a great thing to do. I'm looking to, Elle, I don't know if we can unmute. I wanted to have, I'm having a problem clicking down my list here. But I was trying to get see if I can get Ed to join in here and just talk a little bit about what's gone on for him.
I think I did that for you. Ed, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yay.
Hey, Ed, thank you so much, and thank you, Elle, for helping to test drive this. Ed, why don't you share for me and the people on the call, what was the kind of stuff that was going on when I first arrived to do Leadership Power with you, and what's changed for the better?
Well, first let me say thanks, Al, for letting me join in on something. I'm excited about being here. Al, you know firsthand what was going on, and let everybody else know. We were in a transition mode, going from new construction to just service and remodel. But I had employees wanting to do things their way instead of the company way. We had some systems in place that I thought were really good, but after discussing with you, Al, and then realizing that it was in our best interest to have you come in and do planning power, which I guess really comes down to a leadership program. It opened up my eyes to a lot of the disorganization that we did have going on, and how I needed to, prioritize and get my head out of the sand and get things rolling to help move us forward.
I appreciate you sharing that, and I think the thing that I would say, have you found the power in focusing on the top 5 is just one of the great techniques in this delegation we talked about here?
Oh, definitely. I think one of the things that I had asked of you, Al, was to hold me accountable, and you did do that. Just, I think we're all human, and a lot of times we'll fall back into our old routines. After focusing on the top priority projects in the top 5 that I needed to work on, he stayed with us, and and helped us get that done. We are miles ahead of our competition right now, and I like it that way. The things that we've implemented now are making our operation run a lot smoother, a lot cleaner, and the competition is trying to catch us, and I'd rather have it that way than the other way.
I thank you so much for your generosity, and I hope the people who are listening appreciate that Ed took time from his busy day to share these things with you. Thank you so much, Ed.
You're welcome.
I'm going to go ahead and press on because I promised some more good stuff for you guys to be thinking about out here. So my question to you next is, do you have the operating systems in place to make a profit and have fun at work? You heard Ed briefly talk about the things that are going on for him in the quote-unquote recessionary time that we have right now. And this really is the essence, is can you really afford to, in these times to spend more time as an employee than as a manager? And until you have these systems in place, the reality is you're going to be stuck. So I have a question for you. If you had the work, would you be able to take 3 or 5 really great techs or whatever working staff that you have? Could you put them out on the road tomorrow? And what chance in the world could they do the ABC way of any of the things that you do if you haven't defined it and defined it in writing? We're talking about a lot more here when we talk about operating power than just, the standard, be here, vacation time, sick time, and I'm not minimizing that. That's the famous Chapter 1 employer-employee stuff, which is good. It's a good basics, but that's all it is. It doesn't really define how we do our work and even why we do our work. And, Elle, I know you've spent a lot of time seeing the power that these manuals have, what I call operating power, so you can speak to that.
Oh, yeah, and I've also spent a lot of time getting in the truck with service people, and boy, if their owners knew what was going on out there in the field, I think it would make their stomachs hurt, and that might be a big reason why sometimes you don't even want to know. You don't even want to go.
Yeah, I was lucky enough, one of the great guys I worked with had a great line, don't expect what you're unwilling to inspect. And I think if you had a video, I don't think most of us would want to watch it. And the problem that we keep people in place is because we don't really have the systems and the rest of it. It's just too hard. We hope that they magically walk in and what I call people that are lightning in a bottle. Now, you may get lucky once, maybe even twice, but you really can't grow a company until you have what I think of. And if you think of us building a house, the operating power manuals, which is a full set of manuals that cover, yes, employer-employee, but more importantly, accounts payable, accounts receivable, credit department, the CSRs, customer service people, dispatchers, the apprentices, the service techs, what they do from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, other than the actual work, and then the chapters about how you do your work. Now, it's not a technical trade book that you can just hand somebody and out they go, but these are the policies and procedures. This is the platform that allows you to build this great house, which is your great company. I will tell you a story quickly about, in my own case. I had this gal named Natalie who was a CSR. Natalie, my wife, for those of you who know that. For 20 years, if she liked you, your call magically went to the top of the deck, Elle, and you got taken care of. But if she didn't like you, magically your call went to the bottom. And we were back in the heating business primarily then. At that point, what was interesting is that she took it upon herself to be sick, usually on the days we needed her most. Now, I know that only happens at my company and never would happen at your company.
Oh, no.
No, couldn't possibly be. Well, finally the day came, Elle, we just said no more. I hired a young, willing person, sat down, went through the operations CSR manual with them, and within 2 weeks, this person blew away Natalie on her very best day. And I was convinced, and everybody who's done this with me will tell you the following. the very best CSR doesn't work at their company because they haven't made them. Because every time they go through this process of training them with the manuals and staffing and the other items, which we'll be talking about, they just keep getting better. And the same applies to the techs, the same applies to dispatchers, even the people who are paying the AR and AP. And I got to tell you, I don't know how many people are really hostage. A hostage is the only way I can describe it to their people because they just don't know how to replace them, and especially when it comes to bookkeeping. So policies and procedures are really where it all begins.
Well, and Al, didn't you do this, the first time you did this process was at your own company?
Oh, yeah, there's no question about it. This was painful, and this is back in $1994. We spent almost $100,000 between hiring a professional writer to write it in plain English. Because most of the manuals, let's face it, we turn them over to somebody else, and they end up looking like law books. Mm-hmm. They have no traction. Nobody bites into it. Nobody believes it. And more importantly, we ran meetings with everybody who was affected by it so that we could get what we talk about in item 3, the employee buy-in. Because when you come out with, and that's what I was about to do, by the way, sit down in my office, write these manuals, come on out with the 10 Commandments, now I'm going to try and enforce the law on other people, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Just doesn't work. They have to be part of the process. And I learned a great lesson. We actually had 24/7, 365, and it was not, just something on our business card. We lived it. Well, I would get guys that would go out to do a call, and they would get finished 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I would get some scribbled up message I couldn't understand. I was the first guy in as a dispatcher at 6:30 in the morning. They had just gotten to sleep out, and I had the pleasure of waking them up to try and say, who am I going to? Where am I going? What do you want done there? So in this meeting, this is a great lesson for me that first time I realized I didn't have to have all the answers myself. One of the employees says, you know what, if you buy a digital tape machine and if you get a dedicated phone line, when I get done, I'm going to call you at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, tell you who I went to, I'm going to tag what's wrong, and you will know when they are expecting us. And you know what, we all gave that famous head slap because we realized the brilliance in this moment. Do you think I had a problem getting guys to follow this? I mean, was there a big enough what's in it for me? So that was really it.
Right. And again, it's just a simple solution. The solutions are there, but then to follow through and make sure they're documented, people are trained on it, that's the beauty of operating power.
Nice. And I think the training checklist, which is really the part of the manual, empowers people. And when people get a taste of success, people are afraid, if I train them, they'll leave. That's the famous one. And, of course, the other thing we always say, well, if you don't train them, they'll stay. That's also a bad thing. I found over a long period of time, the more you train people, the more they love it and the more they love you. And they just want to come to work and do well. They just want to be successful. Now, if you can give them that and these training checklists and the weekly meetings, all of this is really helpful.
Good people love to be held accountable. They're waiting for you to do this.
Oh, absolutely. Tim can tell a good story when I let him unmute here about people being tested for the very first time. Some of them took off, but the ones who stayed were more than happy to show off about what they know. And I'm going to bring them in on that in just a moment. One of the things that I had to lose, Aldo, here's what I would like all of you to do, a little soul searching. Are you really the answer person? Because you know what? If you're going to keep giving me the answer, guess what? I'm going to keep asking questions, and I'm not going to take accountability for anything. So once you get it in writing, once you go over it, once you get these systems in place, you can no longer have to rely on being the answer person 100% of the time. If you can get 80% of the stuff done so it's routine, you know what? The 20% will not throw you. It's not hard at all. As a matter of fact, it's actually even pleasurable to go through these kinds of things because you get to the more fun stuff that makes work fun, exciting, and in this case, profitable, all of which makes it even more fun.
Oh, now you're speaking my language.
Well, you know what I'd like to do is to let Tim and Ed kind of chime in a little bit to talk about this because this really is the foundation piece right behind leadership power, which is operating power.
Well, I just turned Tim he's not a mute anymore. We can hear you, Tim.
Hey, Tim, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Al. How are you? Hello.
I'm doing well. Would you do me a favor and just share, just briefly, because I want to bring Ed back into this as well. You know the story about where you start testing people. Did you find what Ellen and I were talking about, that the right people really want to show off?
Unbelievably, I was living that moment in my life once again, listening to the stories. It was quite a little walk back down through memory lane. I remember the days coming in and people not doing what they were supposed to be doing, and me going into my office and just getting mad and angry, and then coming out and just yelling at everybody. That was always a lot of fun. I remember those days.
It made you feel good. Didn't change anything, but I know what you're saying.
But good news is now, though, Ellen, this is going to make you very happy. I'm extremely profitable these days.
Yay!
Yep, good for you.
That's what I say.
Yep, and I think the manuals is probably one of these things that you would agree is the foundation that everything is built on, Tim?
It was absolutely the beginning. I think you don't give enough credit to the famous Chapter 1. I think the famous Chapter 1 really sets the baseline for how we're going to operate in this business and how we're going to do what we need to do. And we followed the rules. We got their buy-in. We had them build the manuals with us. Slowly but surely, the manuals became reality. We met once a week discussing the manuals, and then we finally implemented. The real tough challenge was the change in me to hold them accountable. That was the tough challenge. In order for anyone to be successful, you have to change yourself first.
Very well said.
And live by what you wrote down on a piece of paper. That's a challenge, and it's reality. So.
I think that's where my coaching comes in helpful, too, because it's good to have somebody who's already blazed that trail. And for those who are listening, Chapter 1 is what Tim is referring to as the employer-employee section that I kind of gave it a little pass off as not being as important, and I appreciate you getting me back on track. It is important, because if they can't do that, they're not going to be ready for the next stuff.
No, I agree.
You're here.
Yep, I agree. I think the word coaching is an interesting use of word, Al. I think that your style of coaching and the meetings that we went through once a week and then twice a month, they're more than coaching. It's it was a deep caring. It was more of you're a mentor for me. You're somebody that I look up to and someone that I have always wanted to express that gratitude towards. Then you introduced me to Ellen, who got me real smart on the financials. I don't know if I got real smart, but I got reasonably smart.
You're way smarter than the average bear.
You're making me cry.
Yeah.
We're so proud. We're so proud of you, and I know that Al, you come from such a place of love for these guys, and I think that's what's so cool about how you take care. It's not a matter of just here are the manuals, knock yourself out, but knowing the process that's going to happen for this to become living and breathing in a company, and helping the owners get all the way through that process, because there are some moments where you fall off the wagon, you get really frustrated. I mean, it's a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've learned, in that these power plans have been available and the coaching available, but life just gets in the way. I understand that, and I appreciate Tim's comments, as do I appreciate all the great people that I've worked with. I absolutely, completely understand. I was them. I was lucky enough to be making money, Ellen, but it was killing me. That's not a good goal. Mm-hmm. And only because I lived these things and I have shared these things, I am on fire and passionate that these things will help you as well. And that's really my goal, and I so appreciate what Tim's words are here. I'd like to bring Ed in for a minute, if we could, and ask Ed if there's anything he particularly wants to talk to or address as it relates to the power of the manuals, if you will.
Well, Al, in chorus with what Tim was saying, holding myself accountable to what we had written, and then holding the guys accountable to that was definitely a challenge. It was a big challenge. With your help and guidance, we worked our way through it. It took a while. It didn't happen overnight, but they've come to understand the importance of the meetings. As we're doing it on a weekly basis now, things have smoothed out, and they look forward to what's going to transpire in the next meeting. They know that this is helping them move forward in their life to become better at what they do. The programs, when they first look at them, just like anything, there's going to be kickback, there's going to be feedback, and they don't want to change, but change is inevitable. And putting the power program into place with the operations manual was a tremendous help to us. And again, thank you for getting us on that right path.
Well, I give you all the credit in the world. You know, this stuff has been available. Just Tim and or Ed are just two of the many cases of guys that said, you know what, there's a better way for all of us, because this is a win-win-win. Your customers win, your staff wins, and you win. But it takes that, you know, being willing to make that chance and to step up and do the things that really are in everybody's best interest, for which I applaud the both of you, and I thank you for being here. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you.
Let me press on to staffing power, because I've got another question for you. Does your staff tend to make you money or cost you money? You know, this question has been one that's plagued me for many, many years. And, you know, of course, today the answer is, can you really afford to have staff out there that's not making you money? The precious opportunities that you have, can you squander them? And the answer has to be a screaming no. What I learned late in life, and I wish I had learned it earlier, that when you get people trained and bought in the way that Tim and Ed just talked about, that they get out and they will find ways to make money and make customers happy, and the process just gets better and better. And this is what we need to do, even when it comes to items like callbacks, which is where you have to run back and fix whatever you quote-unquote fixed the other day. Their focus, if you build the right staff, and for me it's really three things. It's talking about building your existing staff, finding the holes and making them better, finding new staff and finding their holes quicker. But ultimately, the third thing is what I have right here, which is creating new techs and apprentices, starting fresh. It's not impossible, and frankly, these guys will tell you that there are plenty of people who have been dying for these programs to be kicked in. They want to have this opportunity to get better. Nobody wants to go to work and not succeed. I absolutely firmly believe that. They want to wake up. Now, the thing is, they want to have a good day. Hell, here's the trick. If they have to ruin your day to have it, well, they'll do that. But, you know, if you give them a great game to play, as you say, they're going to play. And this is a great game. This is a great game where you are getting people on this train, if you will, which is how I look at staffing power. Because the staff is always moving. This thought that, well, gee, if I just hire this person, they're really great, I don't have to do another thing. I'm sorry to break that bubble, but that's not true, because staff is really a moving train. There are people that are hopping on. There are people that are hopping off. And that's just the nature of it. You know, you promote them, you retire, they quit, they get sick. And some of the worst ones that I've never figured out, maybe you can help me on this, El, you know, people actually die.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get to the point where you can run down the football field, spike, you know, in the end zone and go game over. You are always, always, always in a recruiting, hiring, training, retaining mode of making people effective, because every effective person you put out there, they will make you money.
Well, and let me jump in here a second, Al, too. One of the issues that we talked about at the very start, when I brought up some of those questions that people come to us all the time wanting to address, probably the number one issue is how do you find and keep good people. And I think that when you engage staffing power, your confidence goes up in terms of I can identify and develop people right here at my company, and I will never be held hostage again. And that, I think, is the most exciting thing about staffing power, is that this relief that I don't have to look the other way when my top guy comes in without having shaved or some other integrity-busting situation is before me. This is where we really get rid of the hostage crisis once and for all.
And that's so well said. I think the problem that is most of us, we hire out of desperation, Al, and my brother Marty used to call it the mirror test. You know, breathe in the mirror, you fog it, you're hired. because we wait to the last minute. This is a never-ending, always ongoing process of where you're constantly putting people in the pond. There's always, I don't care what size company you are, there's two knuckleheads at the bottom that you're just dying to get rid of, but you just don't have the guts. And until you put the system here, which is staffing, and you learn how to fill the existing people, give them the want for being there, then find new people and find their holes quicker, and ultimately build your own. And this second item is the better you get at training, the more you can hire on attitude. That's what it's all about. I'm really great at a lot of great things, but here's what I can't do. I can't fix a person with a bad attitude. But I can absolutely give somebody with a great attitude the skills they need. And I have this from a personal experience. I didn't start out as a technician. Please don't hang up. I was a mechanical engineer.
Oh.
Yeah. I was handed a toolbox by my dad, and he said, "Here, sonny, go learn the trade." And I didn't know the difference between a slotted screwdriver and a Phillips screwdriver. I didn't know the difference between a pipe wrench and adjustable wrench. I was blessed by having patient teachers, but I will tell you this. I was the most and continue to be the most willing person you will ever meet. And when I decided I was going to become good at it, I did. And every time you hire on attitude and willingness, and you have the training skills that this program develops for you, you will get the same result. I promise you that. And if you are able to offer a career, not just a job, you become the #1 place people have to go to move ahead. They just want to be there. I have one great client that's turned it. He said, eventually every great person wants to work here. and he really meant it. I'm sorry for laughing, but it was true. He said every great person wants to come work here because of what we do. Training that's never stopping, a career path that gets you all the way through, and rather than just empty promises, the way to get there. And a lot of times, because we hire in that mirror test mode that I was talking about, Al, we just get that new person, and what do? We just put them out there and find out if they can swim in the deep end of the pool. Well, that's not good for them, and that's not good for us.
It's brutal, too. And in fact, I see so many owners in a rut where they put them out there and then, see, I knew I couldn't find anybody worth the salt, and they prove it to themselves again. What a horrible experience for that new hire.
And it's true, and I'm so glad you're part of it because the owner plays a role in that, doesn't he? Because in some ways, if you're not careful going back to leadership and finding out who you really are and what you need to do, both the way Tim and Ed talked about it, is that you really have to look at yourself and ask yourself, as I had to ask myself, what am I doing? For a long time, we did big commercial work, and my brother Richie and I weren't really great or really weren't desirous of teaching anybody anything. So for that, we got woken up about every other night in the middle of our sleep to go out and fix big equipment. Guess who was really not so smart? Well, I got a whole lot smarter when I realized that I was sabotaging people out there who could make my life better, make the customer's life better. And some of it is just this thing, which is getting them oriented well. The great Joe Haney that I work with, great service manager, he says it best, which is the first 2 weeks and how I orient them at the company pretty much determines their success for the rest of the time they're with us. And one of the things he loved about these programs was creating this formalized orientation process to get people effective and efficient faster, which you cannot afford to do these days. If you want to compete, you must be effective and you must be efficient. It's no longer optional. And you have to have the ongoing training programs that make these people multi-skilled, multifaceted, so that they can get out there and make you money. Because as I started before, which is every good hire makes you money. Every good person that you effectively make better makes you money. And for those who don't, Al, what do we do with them?
Well, we get them good or we get them gone.
Thank you. Absolutely. One of the things here is about building your own training center, which is item 5, and that is where they have to have a safe place to learn and practice this. This isn't like trying to put a man on the moon, but the reality is they spoke to the people that actually did visit the moon, and they said with all our training, it felt like we were there. Or flight simulators, for people who fly. This isn't the first time they've run into these situations. We at work can do the same thing. either with our buildings and better yet our training centers. We can train and develop people so that by the time they're out in the field, they feel like they've already been here and it doesn't throw such a big curveball at them. That's some of the great things that you will get, but knowing how to train is really the big thing.
This is so huge because, you know, most folks, I've never had the experience where a service technician has raised their hand and said, you know what, you're kind of assuming that I know how to do that, and I really don't know how to do that. More often than not, they're afraid to admit the gaps in their understanding, and the training center is where you create this safe place for folks to demonstrate what they know and to help them get up to speed. I think the training center is absolutely a brilliant and essential element of staffing power, and nobody does it better than you, Al.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and it's something that I really take to heart because knowing how to train as well as having that really makes the world of difference. But it wasn't always like that. And so the reality was I grew up in a New York environment, and I know this will be a shock to those who don't live in New York. We tend to be a little sarcastic, and we tend to be just, you know, a little bit have fun at other people's expense. Now,
you?
No. Yeah, you know, I mean, everybody on the phone is probably shocked.
I was wondering if the Bostonian was going to chime in on that.
Oh, I knew he was going to jump in. The reality is,
I'm trying to be good.
I know you were being the best you could, Tim. But Tim will relate to this. Years ago, you know, myself and the other guys, we loved when there would be somebody who'd goof up, you know, a 5 or 10-year tech and go, you didn't know that? You kidding? You didn't know that? Well, let me ask you something. If you were that tech, you think they're going to share what else they don't know?
Mm-hmm.
Not a chance in the world. So we had to reprogram ourselves as owners, myself, my brother, and my service manager, to say the following. Tim, whatever you don't know, it now becomes my problem. I'm going to take you outside. We're going to go through this. We're going to get you so effective that you can do it. You'll watch me. I'll watch you. And then you do it. Now, once you choose not to do it in the field, we've got a different issue, which is a consequence. And that was a powerful, powerful statement because people would show you. Here's one other quick thing before I open it up to Tim and Ed. Is basically, as the owner's kid, I'm embarrassed to say this. Bad training and not knowing the skills affects your sales.
Yeah.
I would spend as much time, the owner's kid, talking people out of repair work that I wasn't confident that I could do. I'd be sitting there talking, well, you don't really need that. Don't you? Well, the reason they didn't need it, Ellen, is because I didn't really know how to do it that well. So I was blowing sales right out the door as the owner's kid. Can you imagine what the techs are doing?
What's really striking a chord with me right now is that perhaps the most exciting part of being a business owner is when someone on your watch develops personally and professionally. And that's what's so cool about really laying claim to your responsibility to help these guys improve. And I think that Ed and Al may want to talk about that because I know that that both gives them a big high.
Oh, I think, Tim, do me a favor, jump in here, just share some of the great experiences you've had. Some of the bad stuff we already know, but about coming out. What's some of the great things, the great joys you've gotten out of this staffing power?
That's a great question. You know, as I'm looking at the screen, I'm seeing 1 through 5, and I have completed everything on that screen, and it wasn't done overnight. It's the best thing I've ever done. The AP to JT, which is apprentice to junior tech, or creating new techs and apprentices, all got created in one of 3 training rooms that the first one Al helped me build, and the other 2 we built, and the last one is on our website. And basically we can teach people how to do the plumbing and how to put stuff together. That's good. Where we practice sales in a safe environment, that's the training center. That's where it begins. That's where it all starts. You got to make it totally safe. You have to make it the right temperature, have the right people teaching it. Al taught me how to teach, then how to deliver to the men, and then how to get them to deliver back to me, all from the safety of a training room. I mean, I've been hiring on attitude right now, and we've actually taken it to a bit of a twist where we have each person interview each other, and we get to see how they speak in front of a crowd.
Nice.
And it's a group interview. It's a great format, and basically what it's all about is that you can't do what you love to do until you sell it. And you have to have very good skills about presenting. And so we watch people present from a distance, and then we make our judgments. If they're great right there, they'll be great inside the training room, and they embrace the training. We've had people leave the training room in tears, saying it was the most, not because they're in pain, Al. They're in tears because finally some company was paying attention to them and was going to give them the skills they needed to succeed.
Doesn't that feel great?
Absolutely. I tell you, Tim, that's so exciting because you are the employer of choice today. You do offer a career. It's not just words on a page. You are now empowered to do the things that really make everybody's life better, your customers, the staff, and your own life, which you deserve. I'm so proud of you.
This isn't about plumbing and heating. This is about treating other humans and respecting them and giving them the tools they need to succeed. This goes across other businesses as well. It could be a computer IT person. It could be anybody. Whoever isn't training on how to make themselves better on a weekly basis, they're not doing themselves any credit.
And that's a good point because I started out, as you know, in the plumbing, heating, cooling business, and my first customer was an electrical company, and I worked with electricians. I've worked with handyman, carpentry people, roofing, drain, and even now a cleaning company. And all of what we're talking about completely applies to them as well. Great point.
You have to commit. You have to commit to your people. You have to commit to building yourself first, and then you commit to your people and keep training. It's not a temporary thing.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I'm going to go on to our next slide here and share with you. Does your staff know how to sell in a way they can feel good about? The few opportunities that you have right now, can you afford to squander them? And if you do, it comes down to that you're going to have to keep on making more and more calls in a tougher environment. Most people are sales phobic, and I think you would agree with that, Al. Their attitude towards sales just is really poor. And I usually do an exercise with people that I work with. I just tell them to close your eyes for a minute. I'm going to say the word salesman. Open up your eyes. And what does everybody see? I've been doing this now for 7 years. What they all say is, I saw a guy in a plaid suit trying to sell me a used car. And sales, what I call sales power, which I call, my nickname for it is ethical selling power, is everything but that experience. It's about being a great listener and serving the customer so well that they want you to come back. They understand. And when I do sales power work with people, yes, the sales rise, which I'm very pleased. You know what rises as much, if not more? Customer satisfaction letters. People sit down and write letters. I was just at a shop up in the New England area, and it was just actually such a warm moment because the person who I trained with sales power, one of the techs, he had a stuttering problem. It was difficult. He applied. He worked hard. He had so many glowing letters, and by the way, Al, record sales.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, and I think that what's cool about ethical selling, and I love the nickname, because so many service techs are afraid that we want them to strap on that plaid jacket and come up with some kind of canned spiel. But what I've learned is the folks who engage sales power, a lot of the best performers are really quiet, technically competent guys. They know what they're doing, and they listen, and they solve problems, and their sales go through the roof. A guy with a stutter, that's not a fatal flaw. That just gives him an opportunity to listen and serve. And we've worked with guys with sales power who have had challenges speaking, and one of our owner's service technicians, remember, he used to draw pictures. He had a really tough time talking, and he just rocked it because he was solving problems with some really basic tools. And I really love the way you approach sales.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This was another one of these. I was, and then of course, if by the time you've listened to this call, and the guys on the call will laugh, is I was a painfully shy person through high school. As you can tell by now, I've gotten over it. And the reality is that I had to go through this myself. I had to learn this process. I was lucky. My dad was a great salesperson. But I learned the fatal mistake is he was quiet. He would speak at this level. And I tried to do the same thing, and I was an absolute disaster. I teach people not to be robots, but to follow a system that's simple, so that they can be successful, and better yet, the customer gets served the right way. And that is what's really great. And this system is something that, because it's not hard, Ellen, to get people's sales to go up temporarily. You get that spike, if you will. The trick, and what Sales Power really teaches you, is how to run effective meetings and how to make the ride-alongs and how to do the things that will make the sales continue to get better and better and better. And really the first item here, and Tim does it really well, is we talked about what it took, which was to have a company that has a selling focus. And what you see is WIIFM is the famous, starting with what's in it for me. And Ellen, you do a great job of tying with me with those sales coaching programs and rewards that give them a reasonable, good way to make some extra money in the hours that they do, but in a way that serves the company and the customer best. And that's what's so exciting. Also, what you'll find in Sales Power is that operations manuals are really the platform for sales. I don't reveal this till late in the program, but embedded in the actual tasks themselves are some really good suggestions that they tend to forget about, because as a troubleshooter, when I began to love service, man, I just love service, Ellen. The last thing I really wanted to do was talk to customers and just push them out of the way, wasn't listening really carefully, and I would skip too many things. The manual was the discipline that brought me back about the right questions to ask and the right suggestions to make. And as Tim talked about a moment ago, the training center is where to make this whole process tie together. There are 3 skills that you must master if you want to get better. And if you want to make the money you deserve, you have to get your people better at sales, and it starts right from the phone ringing. Operations, being consistent so people know and can trust they're going to get treated a certain positive way each time. And ultimately, you got to be able to fix whatever they sent you here for. Item 3 is really talking about the correct selling price, and that's something that you do so well, which is getting them to understand where that price needs to come from. Because you could do everything right, sell at the wrong price, and go broke, and that's not what we're talking about. For me, it's really the belief in the selling price. You have to absolutely believe it. In New York, I faced some tough customers, Alan. Yeah. I would tell them that this piece of equipment, boiler, let's say, or furnace is $1. And they go, what? What, are you crazy? And it was just a New York kind of thing where they were just trying to see if I really believed in the selling price. And that's why your staff has to follow a specific way, a specific system, so that they rock solidly understand that, yeah, this is the right price to do it the right way.
Well, let me share this, too, as a financial guru. If you are priced properly, I guarantee you're going to be a lot higher than the average bear in your marketplace, because the average bear doesn't crunch the numbers and just doesn't know. And I wish that we could charge $50 an hour, because, boy, it would make things a lot easier. But if you put together a real selling price based on your cost of doing business and based on the right compensation for you and your team, you are going to be the high-priced contractor in your area. So unless you equip your team with sales power, you're really like handing them a loaded gun with that reasonable selling price, and they're going to blow up out there unless they know how to handle it. Does that make sense?
Oh, so right. That is, and it leads right into the flat rate book, which is, if you're I have no problem with time material. I was time material for a long time. All I care about is that you sell the right way and you know what you need to do. But I'm going to be truthful with you. It's just so much easier and better for the customer. Not you, better for the customer when you're able to offer a flat rate price, because what you're really doing is protecting them and you're giving them a fair price. And that means that for the same work, Tim's not going to get it cheaper than me, Ed's not going to get it cheaper than me, Ellen's not going to get it cheaper than me, not my negotiating skills. And I may be unlucky and get that one of those 2 knuckleheads you were trying to get, and they take all day, and I get penalized for it, right? Not fair. Not fair, not fair at all. The last item that I'm going to speak to here in this brief overview is the evidence manual, which is why are you worth the money? Because Ellen spoke to the point, which is once you know what you know, it's a scary moment. I'm reflecting back to when I was $30 an hour, figured I could double, triple the material, and gee, I got to make money. Well, unfortunately, I had those financial blinders pulled back, and once they're off, they never fit the same way. And once we realized what our price needed to be, my brothers and I, we realized we had to do business in a different way. And everything I'm speaking to today is what you are going to have to learn and master. And boy, it's so much better to be working with somebody who's got the systems, but more importantly is to plug into somebody who's got the experience. And that's really what we're talking about here today. These are the things that bring it to life. And that's really how to put together an evidence manual that helps the guys out there be making effective sales, knowing how to handle objections, which, let's face it, no matter how good a job we do, that's going to come up. And the better we handle it, the better it's going to be for ourselves, and the better it's going to be for the company, and the better the presentation, the better it is for the customer. These are all part of the process.
Tim is like madly waving his hand here. He really wants to speak on this. Could we ask him
absolutely.
to share?
Let me shut up because Tim's got better stuff to do.
Oh yeah, making fun of you is more fun, but I'll get over that. So
he really loves me. For anybody listening, if he didn't like me, he wouldn't make fun of me.
It's a Red Sox Yankee thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Go Yankees. Go ahead.
I'm a big believer in the correct selling price. I'm also a big believer in, I know that I've made a lot of mistakes. Just because I knew what my correct selling price was, didn't qualify me to charge it because I wasn't showing any value. There's a lot of words on this screen right now. Evidence manual. If anybody listening doesn't understand what the evidence manual is, it shows and proves exactly why you're as expensive as you need to be. It shows and proves why to the customer you're worth the money that you're going to charge, that you need to charge. The correct selling price is the basis for anything and everything that you do, because without that you cannot be profitable. You can have a great flat rate price book, fantastic. You can have a great operating manual, fantastic. You have to be able to prove and demonstrate to the customer that you're worth the price. Mm-hmm. If you're not worth the price, you're just another person charging a lot of money. So get your selling price correct. Train to show value. Deliver more value. Give more value to your customer. Show them and prove it to them through the evidence manual. It works. It's worked for me, and it'll work for you. I've made a lot of money doing it. I've changed my evidence manual several times. All good stuff.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. I think what Tim does really well is that he's really mastered the sales power skills that we developed together. And he and his great service manager continue week after week to focus on how to serve the customer well, which delivers good service to them and provides the sales dollars that everybody's looking. And they maximize every opportunity, which you cannot afford to miss in this economy. Fair enough?
Yeah, we've
fair enough
in the past.
Excellent.
Thank
well, good
you.
for you and good for Ed. I want to thank you for spending some time with us today and being so generous to share your time with the rest of the people out there that are listening. And I know the two of you, I'm sure, will have empowered them to take that step, because that's what it is, right?
Well, again, thanks for having us.
Well, thank you. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thank you. Oh, doesn't that make you feel good? I'm so proud of those guys, because it's, Jim Rohn says it's easy to do what it takes to be successful. Easy meaning something you can do. And the challenge becomes it's even easier not to do it, to not take the step.
That's just the momentum. I think that's so well said, Elle. It's just the momentum of what you're doing that just keeps you doing the same stuff, and the next day, it's we all know the famous definition of insanity. Keep doing what you're doing, expecting different results. And so that's why I've opened up this program now with this technology and the ability to deliver this. Is an exciting opportunity for you to join this 12-month Power Plan coaching program. And as you've heard from my guests today, there's great power in the power programs. And frankly, my ability to help take you through this process, to help you not fall in the holes, and if you do, to show you the way out. It's just powerful stuff to be able to do that. And that for the first time, I'm opening up this program to make it available. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This exclusive 12-month coaching program is limited to a certain number of applications, and I'm going to send you to a place that you can fill out an application to set up a free half-hour call, because I don't want to just do this in email. I want a chance to speak to you one-to-one, to find out what's going on right and wrong in your life, and I'm happy to do that, but frankly to find out if you are a good fit for this program. I want you to be successful. I need you to be successful, just like the guys that are here. They are my best missionary, and there's plenty more testimonials where that came from. And it's because your success is personally important to me. And knowing that because I have suffered as you have suffered, and I don't want to see another person suffer any more than they need to. I want to talk to you on the phone and see that this is the right thing for you. So that's what I want you to do. Let me give you some idea about some more things that are involved in this program and what's going to be happening. During the 12 months that you're going to be doing, and some of the things you'll be learning about is how to become a leader in your business and just get better at the self-improvement process. There is a 5-step process to learn how to decide, devise, measure, coach, and reward. And ultimately this whole thing is how to take control of your life, how to take control of your day. Simple techniques that I learned about power lunches and power naps and just getting your highest day priority. I don't want to go to the one that you taught me, Al, which is what would you have done by 10 o'clock if you were hit by a bus? But it does mean that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the truth is we need to be able to think about that. What I'm going to help you do is improve your business by learning how to prioritize projects and manage your time in the most efficient way. You're going to learn how to be documenting in your company and finally discover, what are the right type of employee training programs you need in order to grow your company and free yourself up to the famous line that we always hear but we can't do, which is work on the company, not just work in it. So I'm going to teach you how to establish your top 5 priorities, which are the right ones to be working on at the right time. I'm going to teach you the most important step is learning how to delegate these projects in the right way so that they don't come bouncing back like a rubber ball. And then I'm also going to help you gain employee buy-in by addressing the what's in it for me, because that is the most important thing. I do this exercise a lot with people is, oh, I got to motivate them, I got to motivate them. How many times have you heard that, Al? I got to motivate my staff. Well, I got news for you.
And inside their heads, they're thinking, you don't know what's going on in here anyway.
Absolutely right. And as a person, I think of it this way. You can't motivate me to do anything. Now, the best you can do is find compelling reasons that I would be motivated. Now, El, you have no problem motivating me to go play golf.
Really? What if Tiger Woods were in your foursome today? Do you think you could get there earlier on time?
I think this call would end right now. I think the reality is we all are motivated. The trick is to find what motivates people. But if you get them involved in these power programs the way that Ed and Tim talked about and the way the other guys have found, they are going to want to wake up and come to your business because they want to be there. They have been dying to have a voice. Now, the difference is not a little suggestion box on the wall. There's a method that I'm going to take you through in this program that's going to make that highly successful. You're going to learn how to begin planning for growth. Yeah, that was not a mistake that you heard. I said growth because this, my friends, this is the time for growth. Smart growth, though, is the key thing. Learning how to do the marketing and financial and run that successful business that you just always dreamed of. And you're going to discover the key numbers and things that you need to do to make that happen. For me, a while back, El, one of the things I learned as I was in the business is, government regulations, things would change, market conditions, and the nature of myself as a recovering obsessive-compulsive person. And everybody laughs when I say that because they wonder why I say recovering.
Oh, no, you've gotten a lot looser.
Oh, yeah.
No. In fact, I think that's one of the great things about you is that you hold yourself to such a high standard that I can say that just being involved with you makes me raise my standards. So I'm not going to let you pick on yourself about that.
I appreciate that so much. No, I think that one of the healthy things that came along is when I stopped thinking about, oh, this is a problem, and began to say, well, this is just a challenge that looks like a problem.
Yeah.
And when I became really good, Al, I was able to take it from problem, challenge to opportunity, and that is what I'm going to teach. I was able to find a way to solve a problem at my own business that was going to put us out of business, and it actually springboarded us to great success. These are the things, the techniques that I want to share. I'm going to share with the people during the course of this program a way to market that makes it easy for the customers to do business. Most of us don't realize how many obstacles we put up unintentionally or intentionally to repel customers versus attract them. And I'm going to teach a 3-tier system that's going to have you objectively measuring, and people will know where they stand immediately. That is a real great way to free up everybody at the company.
Yeah.
You're going to learn compelling reasons why you should build this operations manual. Hopefully you've already heard a couple today. But what's really good is you're going to define policies and procedures, and for the first time, I'm going to make this generic disc, which has all of these great manuals that we're talking about. This is going to be part of this 12-month program. This is what you're going to get. Now, it's just not going to be this plain disc and say, well, good luck. Part of what I'm going to be doing is helping you develop this so that it becomes manuals that fit you, just as I have been doing all around the country for the last 7 years in all different types of trades. You're going to be able to recognize who you are as an owner and some of the things we talked about today that get in the way of that success. You're going to learn how to communicate effectively to attain that employee buy-in that you must have. And, you know, one of the tricky things that we find out is, you know, we're busy at the end of the day. We don't know what happened. Is learning a technique to identify what is truly wasting your time and how to gain control of your day and gain control of your company.
You know, as you say that, too, what we've discovered with your clients is that they work less and accomplish more. Isn't that what we're after?
Oh, it's really great. I'm so excited when they tell me, you know, I was sitting on a beach, I looked at this, and the company's still running.
Yeah.
How nice is it to have guys that can actually go on vacation and come back to a business that's doing as good, if not better, while they've been away, and to know what's going on while they're away. That is a wonderful comfort. Just a great thing.
And if you've tried that without putting the systems in place, you go to the beach and you come back and you find it's a total disaster.
Yeah, and you don't want to go away the next time.
Yeah, and the way out is to go through this process and do the work now, but it's enjoyable work, and it's exciting and invigorating, and it's so much more effective that it's not adding to your day. It's actually energizing to go through this process.
Yeah, I think the thing that you'll find is that you're going to wake up wanting to go to work, and for a while, I have to be honest, before I put these systems in place, I kind of dreaded going to work, and I'm being an owner. And the good news is I was making some money, but I was not waking up happy.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was happy to go to my place. It was going to be a good day. And it's these things that you need to do to get that. But the reality is, you mentioned, Al, you know, that all of this stuff, you can create the checklist and do the integrated systems and approaches, and of course you will. But it's so easy to lose focus. You know, when life hits you, something comes up, and that's really where I step in, and that's where I can help you, and I can get you connected and get you back on track, because we all lose our way as we're going up that path. Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we look forward to creating a better place for yourself and your staff. I mean, that they too want to come to. One of the nice things in this 12-month program is I'm going to invite you here twice a year is when I'm going to have this program set up for a 2-day event in Phoenix, which is a pretty nice place to come to.
Yeah.
And we're going to work in real time on your operating manuals so that we can create them perfectly here. So when you go home, you've got something that's better than what you're trying to work with right now, and how you're going to get into techniques to get them to buy into it, and how to keep making those manuals better and better and better. And as you heard today, it's the springboard for making staffing power a reality, and it's the springboard for making sales and money at your company. You're going to learn how to leverage all of this as you go through those programs. So that's a pretty exciting thing that I'm going to be able to do. I'm looking forward to the people that are eligible and qualify for that to be here face-to-face doing these things, because it's just exciting when the light goes on. I tell you, I still get a charge out of it.
That's such a powerful plus to this program. It's one thing to work over the phone, but to actually get together face-to-face with the manuals and get them done, get them refined and out there and working for you. What a nice 1-2 punch, Al. I think that's going to be an incredibly powerful approach.
I thank you. You know, and I tell you, Al, it's been involved with so many different things. It's great to get the box, and, you know, for discipline, and I'm a pretty disciplined guy, it's just tough. You know, you read what you read, and you don't know if you're interpreting it right, and you have the best intentions, and, you know, it's just so hard to do it. But having the phone calls, where there are 20 phone calls in this series, and we're set up, and they're going to be recorded if you happen to miss it. But I encourage you to stay in, obviously, and attend every one you can, because we need your input. And it's going to be good for you. I've also set up office hours so where you're going to have a chance to speak to me. There's also going to be emailing so that you can contact me, because your success is critical to me. I have a personal what's in it for me, because I know that if I can make you happy and pleased, your life is going to be better. And that's why guys like today, Tim and Ed, just two guys, I had plenty more who wanted to jump in, but we just didn't have the time, who want to share with you that you don't have to suffer anymore, that you can make the money that you want, you can have that better life. And I tell you, I kind of get overwhelmed. It's just such an exciting thing. I know you've had that same feeling, Ellen, and it's just great.
Well, that's why I like working with you, because your motivation here is to be of service and to help. You've been there. You want to make it easier for people and bring contractors to the point where they have a company worth selling or worth keeping, but it's no longer sucking the life out of them. In fact, it's life-enhancing.
Yeah, options, choices. What a great way to think about that, Al. What a plus that you bring up. It's so true. Instead of being slave, that famous ball and chain at the desk, you'll have options that you didn't realize before. And as I was mentioning before, just getting people up and oriented early on so that they can enjoy their work experience instead of feeling like the new kid and having to struggle. These are so many things that make it fun. And learning how to train. And I know one of the exciting things that guys share with me all the time is after you just get a great kick out of making people better. They just love it, and they just feel so good about themselves, and that rubs off on you. You can feel that, and part of this is learning how to train and training the right way and making them more effective, because that is really the same thing, and learning how to take control and have the right meetings. These are all the things that really help you do that stuff. For me, one of the fun things is role-playing, which you can do with telephone for your CSRs, with your techs, and you can learn how to think of yourself as what I want, which is an expert in whatever area of the company that you are. Doesn't that make it just so much more fun?
It does.
I mean, learn that stuff.
It's so rewarding to know that people on your watch are better capable of taking care of themselves and of their family. That is the rush, isn't it?
Yeah, how sad it is that we know so many people that are in their 60s and 70s and have to keep working because there's no end to this.
Yeah.
And that's just a sad thing, and it just doesn't have to be. You're going to learn techniques in these programs about how to sell the right way that make you feel good about what you're doing, and I assure you the customer satisfaction level is going to go up, which is what you're after. You're going to learn how to avoid buyer's remorse, which just means they bought something, the next day they're unhappy. And today, Ellen, it used to be the old days when you just go out on the corner and talk to your neighbors and tell them on how unhappy you are. Today, the Internet, you can go out and tell a couple of million people how unhappy you are.
Yikes.
So we have to get really good at those skills, and these are really the things. I've got the question, that I'd like to kind of wrap up here, which is, what would happen in your life if you didn't solve these issues? I mean, these are the core critical issues. And can you really afford to wait another minute longer to learn the secrets to running a profitable plumbing, drain, heating, cooling, carpentry, roofing, cleaning business, or whatever business you have, especially during these recessionary times? This is the time to opt in and find out if you are qualified for this program and how it's going to fit. All that's really going to request is just take the time to fill out this questionnaire, send it back to me, and we are going to get on the phone. And for a half an hour, I'm going to help you find out if you are the right stuff and exactly what this is going to be. Now, before I end, I just want to be fair with you about the price. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be the most affordable that it has ever been. And that's only because of the way I'm going to be able to deliver this program, and this technology is just a piece of it, and be able to deliver it to a group. But it's all about the success. And I'm going to thank you, Elle, for taking the time to help me go through this today. And you are the best of friends, and I am so pleased that you know the power of the work that we're doing here.
Oh, thank you, Al. It's been my pleasure.
Well, I'm going to hope that for you out there are going to take that step, and all you need to do is just click here, opt in for the free half hour, and I am looking forward to having you join us in this 12-month coaching program and building the manuals for the very first time that give you the life you deserve. And I'm going to leave you with my tagline. My job is for contractors to have less stress and more success. Thank you.